Hi everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to explore CBRM's Green Card Collection Program and our compost facility operations. Before we begin, I just want to give you another reminder about where the Cape Breton Regional Municipality is located. We're located on an island called Cape Breton Island, which is part of the province of Nova Scotia. CBRM is actually the second largest municipality in Nova Scotia. The boundaries of CBRM includes all of Cape Breton Island and two First Nation communities called Eskazoni and Member 2. Both First Nation communities do provide organic waste and bring their materials to CBRM's compost facility, along with the rest of the residents and commercial sectors that exist in CBRM. Here's a picture of our compost facility, and that's where our organic waste is going to be taken once it gets collected. Of course, organic waste has been banned from landfill in Nova Scotia since 1998. CBRM is required by provincial legislation to make sure we have organic waste, such as our food waste and our leaf and yard debris, out of garbage bags. To comply with the provincial organics ban, CBRM had to introduce residents to a new collection program, which is called Green Card Collection. To manage organic waste, we had to build a state-of-the-art compost facility. In this picture, you can see the building while it's under construction. It cost us approximately $16 million to construct the facility. We began to process organic waste in the spring of 2007. We also had to introduce a new collection stream in order to be able to separate organic waste from the garbage. CBRM's Green Card Collection Program was introduced to residents in June of 2006 as part of a pilot program. We introduced it as a pilot program because our compost facility was still under construction and we didn't have any areas to store organic waste from the entire municipality, so we decided just to roll out the program in a few communities before our larger launch in 2007. Initially, during our pilot program, 3,000 homes were provided green carts until our compost facility was built. While the facility was under construction, the organic waste that we were collecting from the 3,000 homes were actually getting shipped up to a community called Pictou County. And that's where our organic waste was first unloaded until our facility opened in late 2007. So we carry out green card collection by a combination of municipal forces and contracted services because it's actually part of our overall curbside collection program. So the communities of Dominion, Glace Bay, Whitney Pier, and Sydney are serviced by municipal staff. The remaining communities that make up CBRM are serviced by our private contractors. So we provide green card collection services to approximately 44,000 eligible premises across the municipality. And our collection of green cards, like our other collection programs, operates between Tuesday and Saturdays from 8 to 4. The municipality provides green card collection weekly across the municipality on an area's curbside collection day. To determine your area's collection day, you need to go visit the CBRM website and click on the very first screen so that you can see when your garbage day is and when your blue bag collection week is. This is a very important tool for the municipality because it allows us to show our residents how our collection schedule operates. If you still can't figure it out by looking at the website, you're encouraged to contact our waste management hotline at 902-567-1337, and one of our 3 phone line educators will be able to assist you with determining when your garbage day is, when your green cart collection day is, or which week your blue bags are collected on. And as you can remember from our last discussion, the solid waste department does not provide curbside collection to our ICI sector, but we still collect that, or we still accept that materials from our commercial sector. They are, of course, responsible for removing their own organic waste and having it collected by a private contractor. And we do charge a tipping fee for the commercial sector who's bringing organic waste to our compost facility. The tipping fees are $60.22 a ton, or it's $90.35 a ton. Organic waste that is properly sorted, contains no plastics, and contains no incorrect materials would be charged $60.22. And organic material that may contain plastics or other contaminants, we're going to charge the business sector $90.35 a ton. So we do encourage businesses to make sure the materials are properly sorted and only contain food waste or leaf and yard debris when they're bringing it into our site. And we usually charge our commercial sector on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. So people know what goes where in our sorting stream, we produce what's called a waste separation guide. So in this picture here, you can see that I'm showing you the green cart and the materials that should be disposed of in your green cart. And this will help our residents know where certain materials should be placed in our sorting streams. We also have sorting requirements in CBRM. Residents are required to separate and dispose of organic waste in a container called the green cart. And this is what our green carts look like here in CBRM. You can see that it also has a serial number, and that serial number is important to us because it allows us to know the green cart and which home it has been assigned to. And that allows us to track where our green carts are in our municipality. We also provide eligible homes with a mini kitchen bin and a green cart. The mini kitchen bin is for indoor use and the green cart is for outdoor use. We do have some residents that like to use the mini kitchen bin curbside, but if the collector misses it or if they don't see it on your collection day, we will not send a collection vehicle back to empty your mini bin. We will only send a collection vehicle back if your green cart gets missed, and it's missed because it's something that our collectors did on the collection day. The mini bin is used to store your organic waste until you're ready to place it inside the larger green cart. So here's a picture of what a filled mini bin could look like. So you can see that there's tea bags, there's banana peelings, and there's some soiled paper products in the organic mini bin. You don't see silverware, you don't see glasses, and you don't see any materials that isn't considered organic waste. Once filled, a resident can take their mini bin outside and empty the contents into their larger green cart. So only organic waste should be disposed of in your mini kitchen bins. And again, here's some more examples of what is considered organic waste. Eggshells, pizza crust, sauces. Some examples of materials that we want you to avoid putting into your mini kitchen bins would be spoons, forks, knives, pop cans, sponges, and other materials that you wouldn't want to eat or have fragments of in your gardens. Here's an example of some liner bags, because here in CBRM we do allow residents to use liner bags if they choose. You don't necessarily have to use these liners if you don't want to, but one of the things that we did when we first introduced our green cart collection program was we allowed residents to choose to use bag liners. However, you can't just use any type of a bag. We do have bags that are certified by either the U.S. Composting Council or by the Biodegradable Plastic Institute, known as BPI. So if you're going to be purchasing liner bags, I want you to be looking for the logos that you can see in these slides. If your bags that you purchase do not contain either the BPI liner or the U.S. Composting Council liner certification, you're not using the proper bags for your mini kitchen bins. Here's some samples of what the logos look like, and it's very important that not only the packaging that you purchase the bags in contain the logo, but also the bag itself. And that means that when you choose to purchase bag liners, you know you're purchasing the ones that are going to be accepted in CBRM's program. Carts containing the incorrect liners or that contain grocery bags that are being used as liners will be tagged by the collector, and the contents of your green cart will be left behind uncollected. So on your actual green cart collection day, there's things that we want you to make sure of. First off, make sure you have your right collection day. And if your green cart is not collected following the end of your collection day, please remove from the cart from your curb and give our solid waste department a call, because then we'd be able to try to troubleshoot why your cart may have not gotten collected. Make sure you place your cart curbside with that serial number facing the road. If the serial number doesn't face the road, it could mean your green cart is going to not get collected, and it could receive a green cart collection tag. It's important to have the serial number facing the road, because when the vehicle goes to empty the cart, the lip of your green cart is going to be able to gradually start to open as the green cart is getting lifted to be emptied into the collection vehicle. If you don't have the right materials in your green cart, or it's not placed out properly, here's the tag that you're going to receive on your green cart. The collector is going to stick it on the lip of the green cart, put the lid down so it doesn't blow away, and then the collector is going to mark off what's wrong with your cart and give you a possible reason for why it went uncollected on your collection day. This is a very important tool for us because it allows residents to know if there's any issues with their green cart or the materials that they placed inside the cart. So when they call our hotline, we're able to walk them through possible scenarios for why their material may not have been collected. And here's a picture of the hydraulic lift that's used to lift and tip the green cart. And that's why it's important to have your green cart out properly curbside, because if we were to lift and tip a green cart that was placed out backward, your cart is not going to get emptied. One of the things the collector will have to do if the cart is out wrong and he decides not to tag the cart is they're going to have to turn that cart around. And remember, we collect anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 households on any given collection day. So your collector for green carts does not want to have to turn carts at every single household. So once the vehicle is filled, the collector is going to make the journey to our compost facility. But his or her first stop when he arrives at the waste management site, again, is to stop at our scale. So any vehicle that is entering our site stops at the scale house. Anyone that reports here needs to do this. Each vehicle is weighed when entering the site, and then the empty vehicle, when it's ready to leave the site, is again weighed. The department is required to track and document all this information. So the organic waste that gets dropped off, we need to know the weight of that. The solid waste department is also required to report this part of the data to the Nova Scotia environment each year. The scaled data allows us to know the amount of organic waste that's getting processed at the facility and the amount of organic waste that has been diverted and processed at our site instead of going to the second generation landfill site located in Guysborough County. Those numbers, along with the other municipal and provincial programs that are in place to divert waste, helps us calculate diversion credits. These credits support and fund waste diversion efforts in CBRM and helps us to be able to pay for our different programs and services that we're able to offer and provide the municipality. So once our vehicles have been weighed, they now are ready to go to the compost facility to empty out their organic waste. So here's a picture of the entrance to our site, and note that that door is closed. We keep the doors closed at all times at this site, with the exception of when we're allowing vehicles to enter or to exit. As you should remember from our previous discussion, our site is located in the middle of residential areas and commercial areas. So we need to make sure that any odors that are associated with organic waste has minimal impact to our surrounding communities and businesses. So this door is always kept closed and is only open to allow vehicles to enter the site and then to leave the site after they've emptied their vehicles. So the computer allows the staff to see when a vehicle arrives, so they know when to push the button to open the site to let that vehicle in. You can see in the monitor that you can also tell that our staff is able to monitor activity on the tipping floor while we're waiting for vehicles to arrive at the site. So once a collection vehicle arrives, the door is opened and that vehicle is allowed to enter onto the tipping floor of the compost building. And then once that vehicle is inside, that door is immediately closed, so that there's minimum amount of odor able to escape from our tipping floor and from inside the site. So the collector is then directed by a staff person to the area where they're going to unload their organic waste onto the tipping floor. So these two pictures show you two different collection vehicles unloading their materials and emptying out the organic side of their collection vehicles. So the organic waste is stored on the tipping floor until it's ready to be moved into one of 4 phase 1 tunnels. The front end loader will be used to move a mixture of food waste, leaf and yard debris, and overs into one of the empty phase 1 tunnels. The organic waste is moved into the tunnel. It's moved right back as they gradually start to fill in the phase 1 tunnel. The front loader is emptying the materials, and you can see that it's quite dark inside our tunnel as well. So it takes probably about an hour to fill a phase 1 tunnel. Approximately 180 tons of organic waste and leaf and yard debris is used to fill one of the phase 1 tunnels. So we almost fill it to the top of the tunnel. So CBRM's approach to composting uses the Christian tunnel composting system. Our technology was developed by the Christian Group, which is a company that is located in the Netherlands. When we were first looking at the type of technology we wanted to use, we decided to go with this group because it was one of the most modern types of technologies that we saw, and it allowed us to incorporate the type of processes that we wanted to use for our compost here in CBRM. And one of the reasons why we chose an in-vessel type of technology is because of the closeness our site is connected to our commercial and our residential sectors. Unlike most sites across Nova Scotia, we built up the waste management site alongside our residents and our commercial sectors. So this process involves placing the organic waste that we receive at the site into one of 4 phase 1 tunnels. Once the tunnels are filled, they are completely enclosed so the material can be processed under tightly controlled conditions. So for a minute, we're going to spend some time on what our tunnel looks like. So this picture was taken before the construction of the tunnels were completed so that we would be able to see what the piping system looks like underneath the floors. Each pipe has white plastic tubes that allow for air to circulate in both the phase 1 and in the phase 2 tunnels. Each tunnel was constructed the same way and operates the same way. The holes were drilled into the concrete flooring that was laid over the pipes, and each hole lines up with the plastic piping that you saw in the earlier slide. The holes act as a way to circulate air through the pile, and it also acts as a drainage system for excess water and moisture that's produced during the decomposition phase of the composting process, because the materials that are being placed inside the tunnels also contain a lot of moisture, so we need to have a way to be able to drain that moisture. So the first phase of the process begins once a phase 1 tunnel is filled with organic waste. The door is closed and sealed tight, and the automated tunnel climate control program is started. The air is allowed to circulate from the floor, and it circulates into the pile of organic waste inside the tunnel. So that air circulation allows the breakdown process to begin. A computer is used to monitor the activities in both the phase 1 and the phase 2 tunnels, and it shows what's happening with the material in the phase 1 and in the phase 2 process. The material stays in a phase 1 tunnel for approximately 9 to 11 days before it gets transferred to one of the empty phase 2 tunnels. During the 9 to 11 days, the temperature has to reach 57.5 degrees for 3 consecutive days. And you can tell that it's reaching the 57.5 degrees because it's starting to show and have a white substance like material start to form on the organic waste. The organic waste needs to reach 57.5 degrees for 3 consecutive days because we need to make sure all bad bacteria has been killed, and this process is called the pathogen kill. Once the pathogen kill has been reached and the material has spent 9 to 11 days in the phase 1 tunnel, we're now able to move it out of the phase 1 tunnel and into the phase 2 tunnels. There are 3 active phase 2 tunnels that are used to complete the compost process. The 4th area can be used as another phase 2 tunnel if we wanted, but we're using this area for storage. We use this space to store overs and mids once the screening process has taken place. So the contents of 2 phase 1 tunnels will fit into 1 phase 2 tunnel. The front end loader will empty 2 of the phase 1 tunnels that are ready, that have went through the pathogen phase and have been in the tunnels for 9 to 11 days, and will begin to transfer that material over to one of the phase 2 tunnels. It takes approximately 300 tons of organic waste from 2 phase 1 tunnels to fill one of the phase 2 tunnels. The second phase of the composting process begins once the phase 2 tunnel has been filled with the materials from the phase 1 tunnels. The door, just like in phase 1, is closed and sealed tightly. The automated tunnel climate control program is set so the process can begin. The air begins to circulate just like in phase 1. The material is gradually warmed and begins the second phase of the composting process. Air is also added when required during phase 2, and that's really the only ingredient that's added to the compost process in CBRM is air. Most of our material has the appropriate amount of moisture, and of course heat is generated as the breakdown process is occurring. The temperature in the phase 2 tunnel should reach approximately 45 degrees or higher, and it has to be maintained. It doesn't need to get to 57.5 degrees like it does in the phase 1 process because the pathogen kill would have already taken place in phase 1. Phase 2 of our process takes approximately 20 to 30 days before the material can be removed from the tunnel to begin the screening process. And again, you can see the white powder-like substance does remain on the pile in the phase 2 tunnel, and that just shows us that all of the bad bacteria has been removed and is still getting removed while the phase 2 is taking place. This lets staff know bad bacteria was removed while still inside the phase 1 tunnels. The material is moved out of the phase 2 tunnel and is ready for the screening process to begin. So as the material gets removed from the phase 2 tunnel, it gets moved to our screener. Screening is important because the material is placed in the screener, so contamination and materials that have not fully broken down during phase 1 and phase 2 process can be removed from the finished product. A front end loader is used to remove the material from phase 2 tunnels and allows it to move to the screener. It carries the material out of the phase 2 tunnel over to the location of our screener. Our screener is electric and does not run by diesel fuel like our previous screener did. So in this slide, you can see what our screener looks like. I'm outlining it in red, and that's what our screener looks like. A touch screen is used to operate the screener, and you can in the area where the man is working, that's the location where our touch screen is located to operate the screener. So once the material is ready to be moved out of the phase 2 tunnel, the front end loader will begin to bring the finished product over to our screener. And the finished material is loaded into this area right here called the hopper. So the finished product is emptied into the hopper, so it's ready to begin the screening process. Once the material has been added to the hopper, it travels up this conveyor belt located right here to begin the screening process. The material enters into the screener where contaminants and material that didn't quite break down during phase 1 and phase 2 get removed from the finished process. So the material is dropping down, is entering the conveyor belt right in this area, and then it's starting to get separated in this area of the screener, right where you can see I just drew the circle. It separates the materials into mids, overs, plastics, and finished compost. So overs and mids that get screened out, they drop down into this area for overs, and our mids get dropped down in this area. And any plastic that was in our material or other big pieces of material such as knives and forks and glass would get blown out and drop down into the container right here. And that's where our plastics is stored. Once the overs and mids have been screened out of the finished product, they are moved back to the storage area, which is that extra area that I showed you in an earlier slide that can be used as one of the phase 2 tunnels if we require the space. So mids are placed in back of the tunnel. Mids would be located right in this area. And then over here is our overs. And overs are those big materials such as larger pieces of fruit or vegetables or even some leaf and yard debris that didn't quite break down during phase 1 and phase 2. It's stored here because we're eventually going to feed that material back into our compost process. Once overs and mids have been removed from the finished product, our finished product continues to move along the conveyor belt. So it starts, the finished product drops down right in this area, and then it's carried over here and begins to enter onto the conveyor belt, which you can see right there. And this conveyor belt attaches the compost facility to our curing building. So in these 2 slides, you can see a picture of the compost facility, which is located right here. And in this picture right here is our curing building. Linking the 2 buildings is our conveyor belt. So that conveyor belt is part of our screener, and it allows the materials that come out of the phase 1 and phase 2 tunnels to travel over to our curing building, which is located right here, once the mids, the overs, and the plastics have been screened out of the material. In this picture right here, you see a better close-up of our conveyor belt, and you can see that the conveyor belt is completely enclosed in, so you cannot see any of that finished product being transferred from the compost facility over to the overs. And again, this was very important to our operations, is because we needed to come up with a way to transfer our finished product from the compost facility over to our curing building while reducing the odor that could get into our air during that transportation process. In the past, we've gotten numerous complaints from our public and from our business sector because anytime we were transferring product, if the wind was blowing in the right direction or it was a really windy day, it was possible that our residents and our business community could smell that process as we were transferring the finished product over to our curing building. And that's one of the reasons why we incorporated the enclosed conveyor belt, is so that we could reduce the impact of this part of our operations on our surrounding communities. So here's a closer picture of how the conveyor belt is connected to our compost building and how it allows the finished product to travel over to the conveyor belt, over to our curing building. Here is the attachment in our curing building. So this is where the material empties out. So once the finished product makes a journey from our compost facility over to the curing building, it reaches the end of the conveyor belt and it gets dropped down into this area here, right here. So the finished product drops. Once it drops, a front end loader is used to move the material to a designated spot in our curing building. So here's a picture of what our storage building looks like. The storage facility is approximately the size of an airport holding building for planes. So it's quite a large building, and it allows us to store our finished product. Everything that happens at the compost site once the materials arrive is tracked. So we track the day the material arrives, when it's emptied on our tipping floor. We track when it's moved to the phase 1 tunnel, how long it stays in the phase 1 tunnel, when during the process the pathogen kill takes place. We track when the material is moved out of phase 1 tunnels into phase 2 tunnels, how long it's in the phase 2 tunnels. We track when it gets screened, how long the screening process takes place, and then we mark it all on wooden stakes, and we also record it on this whiteboard that you can see in this picture. It's important to have all this data just in case there's issues with our final product. So the tracking progress, the information that goes on every wooden stake that is connected to our compost piles, reveal important information about our process. It tracks, like I mentioned earlier, when it gets to our site, how long it stays in the 2 tunnels, and when it gets screened. And it also tracks when we're getting ready to send off a sample to one of our testing facilities. So when it's placed in the phase 1 tunnel, when the material was placed in the phase 2 tunnels, and when the material was moved to the curing building, all has to be documented on that wooden stake. We use this information with the samples that we ship to our lab, which is located in Quebec. The information on the wooden stakes documents and includes all the important information that's required in order to test our finished product. This information also allows us to troubleshoot issues if our testing samples come back with errors from the lab. In order to give it back to the community, our samples must test at a grade A or a grade AA level according to CCME guidelines. We wanted to reach this level because the department will give the finished product back to any residents who may want to use it for gardening purposes. As appreciation for participating in the Green Cart Collection Program, CBRM gives our finished product back to the community free of charge. People can choose to use it in vegetable gardens, their flower gardens, or they can use it as part of their work in their yards in case they're adding trees or they want to spruce up their flower beds. At one time, we used to host 6 giveaways a year, and that meant that people could come to the site on a designated giveaway day and get the amount of compost that they wanted. However, because the demand was pretty high, it was causing lots of congestion on our site and was causing lots of traffic jams, we decided to switch the way we give the materials back to the community. Now, instead of hosting giveaways, we let residents come into the site every Saturday between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. if they wish to get some of our product. Giving the finished product back to the community allows us to show our appreciation and thanks to our community for participating in our program. We receive inquiries about how people can get our finished product on a daily basis. So it's quite popular and people really like our product. Residents like the results they see with their gardens and their yards after they use our compost. Thank you, and see you all next time when we explore the waste management site and what happens at the remaining components of our facility. See ya.